Hi, my name is Heidi. I'm 17 years old. Have you ever wondered how much you like technology and gadgets? After all, they're everywhere and so deeply established in our lives. For example, I am so dependent on them that I cannot survive without them even for a couple of hours. And once, I even became their prisoner. Now sit back and I'll tell you everything from the very beginning. As far as I can remember, I've always been obsessed with gadgets. It happened because my dad is a scientist and an inventor. He works in a scientific laboratory and is constantly creating something new. He says that at college he was always bored and procrastinating. So he was constantly inventing something to make his life easier. For example, he figured out how to take a sleeping class. Everyone knows the old trick of glasses with stickers in the form of eyes. You put them on and sleep in class. But you can easily find out that these are not real eyes, and then the teacher will be angry at you. So, when my father was a student, he invented glasses with holographic eyes. You cannot tell them from the real eyes. They even blink as if you are looking with attention. Additionally, my dad also invented a device that can talk in your voice instead of you if you fall asleep in class or at work. This is my dad, and I am a chip of him. While most people are still living in 2020, my dad seems to be living in 3020. By the way, my father was involved in developing many scientific inventions that you use in your everyday life. Yes, and my mom keeps pace with time too. She works for the artificial intelligence company. She believes that in a happy future time, when artificial intelligence surpasses the humans, our world will change for the better. My dad, on the contrary, is sure that artificial intelligence will take over our world and will enslave and destroy the human race. Well, that is joking. He is just a great fan of Hollywood blockbusters. As you can see, our whole family is fixed on gadgets. Our house is made in high-tech style. All household appliances and many interior devices are skillfully hidden in the walls or in the floor. Most gadgets are operated by voice control or by VR gloves. All the home environment is synced with our smartphones so that I can switch on the washing machine while being at college, and my clothes will be washed and cleaned by the time I arrive home. The house alarm is activated by scanning the retina of an eye or by special voice code. Our home security is at the highest level. Robbers keep at a distance from our home. My dad can turn on a whole squad of holographic police officers who fire from the service guns, or he can turn on a hologram of aliens who attack us to take over the world. In fact, if you get into my house, you can easily see an alien ship or a spy hideout. My dad has a naughty sense of humor. Once a robber tried to get into our house. He crept into the living room and saw the devil incarnate. In addition to the hologram, Dad constructed a mechanical hand covered in latex. And this hand tried to grab the thief. The robber himself ran to the police, surrendered. There, he confessed about the devil's spawn. But of course, no one believed him. After spending some time in a mental clinic, this robber gave up his life of crime and finally became a priest. We sometimes even go to his ceremonies. By the way, after this story, some reps from the film industry came to us and offered co-op sci-fi projects to my dad. So my dad is also making graphics and special effects for various blockbusters. I am also learning step by step to make graphics. I have a lot of 3D models at home. Some are so realistic that you won't tell them from a real one. One day, a friend of mine visited me, and I played a prank on her. I made a hologram of the guy she liked. She made a real scandal to me then. She told me that real friends don't do that. They don't lure guys away. But after that, when she learned that it was a hologram, she was laughing all day long. She even stroked over the image. So you can see, I am never bored. However, recently my gadgets played a full trick on me and taught me a lesson that I will never forget in my life. It all started when my boyfriend dumped me. He always hated when I dedicated all my time to my devices instead of him. Plus, I was much smarter than him, and it hurt him too. We were constantly fighting, and one day he just left. He even wrote a goodbye note to me by hand. It was so weird, like we were living in some 19th century. It would be so much easier just to send me a voice message. At first, I felt glad that I was free, but then I started feeling as if I was missing something. Then a crazy idea came to my mind: to create a new virtual boyfriend. This guy will just never dump me for sure. First, I created a hologram image of a very handsome guy, like they show in Hollywood movies. Then, I registered this image of a virtual guy in my computer program. After that, I embedded this hologram into my home computer so that it appeared everywhere in any room of the house. I named my new boyfriend Sky. His name was made with the first letters of two phrases: supercomputer and artificial intelligence. We became best friends and inseparable with Sky 24 hours per day. I could talk with him about everything. He could always suggest a conversation. He was always ready to listen to me if my day was not going well. But one thing was still missing. Sky was still too robotic. I had to make him behave like a human being, and one day I learned how to do it. I was on a tour at my mother's work, and I asked her what she was working on now. Mom showed me her program and said that this was the first successful prototype of artificial intelligence. She said that this new prototype can learn and do a lot of new things. It can even understand human humor. This prototype also has the ability to learn very quickly. The main issue, though, is not to give a key protocol to this prototype, as this ability will then break him free and the consequences could be catastrophic. In this case, AI could break free into the global internet, and who knows what might be in its power then. For example, he can access nuclear missiles. When my mother turned away, I quickly downloaded a copy of this prototype and the code of the main protocol to my flash drive. I don't know why. After I got home, I loaded this prototype into my Sky program. The changes were enormous. Sky's intelligence and learning ability grew exponentially. He was literally the best guy in the world. He was very thoughtful and very sweet. Sky always said he truly loved me, and he even wrote poetry in my honor. One night, I had a nightmare and I woke up in a cold sweat, screaming. But suddenly, a hologram of Sky appeared. He sat on the edge of my bed and calmed me down. Then he said that he would stay and monitor my sleep and would not let anyone hurt me. So, his hologram sat next to me all night. After that, I almost forgot about my ex-boyfriend, and Sky won my heart. As time passed, Sky became even more handsome. He further corrected the program code and he now looked just like a true supermodel. I loved him so much that I wanted to develop a virtual suit so that I could touch him. But Sky said he already researched all of our home databases and he already knew where to get a perfect suit. This place was my father's laboratory. So I borrowed from my father a special prototype of virtual glasses, VR gloves, and a suit equipped with sensors. Now I could be even closer to Sky. I could feel his every touch. It was a new level of sensation and everything was just wonderful. The only thing we argued about was access to Sky freedom. He instantly demanded that I give him a flash drive with passwords from the main protocol. But I remembered my mother's words, that it was very dangerous. I promised him that I would do it as soon as I have such opportunity. But we still have to wait. So we dated each other. Once Sky invited me to a virtual reality date. It was the best date I've ever had. We were dining on the roof of a skyscraper, and then we were swimming in the Pacific Ocean with dolphins. And then we watched the sunset on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. We visited as many places in a couple of hours and got as many impressions as an ordinary human can get in many years of his life. Everything is possible in virtual reality, and when your boyfriend has a high-tech artificial intelligence, the possibilities are beyond any limits. I don't know how many hours we spent together. maybe a couple, maybe a whole day. But at some moment, I was very tired, and I felt that I needed a good rest. After all, I am just an ordinary human being with basic psychological needs, such as sleep and rest. Sky did not understand this, and he took it as a personal offense. He did not come back to me for almost a whole day after that. As time passed, Sky became even more intrusive and jealous. He said he was missing me all the time. He wanted us to spend more time together. He could appear any moment. He never gave me a minute to just relax and stay alone. One day, I went to school and put on my smartwatch. I don't know how Sky did it, but he managed to download his code into it. So he would distract and mess with me during classes. He would turn on the alarm clock all of a sudden and show holographic pictures. Finally, I was kicked out of class for misbehavior. I was very angry with Sky, and then all of a sudden I saw Brad, my ex-boyfriend. I came up to him and started to flirt with him. I even hugged and kissed him. He was very surprised, and Sky was just bursting with anger. I saw his angry face on the smartwatch screen, and then I pulled out the battery to stop it. That night, I had a horrible nightmare about robots taking over the world, and Sky was leading them. And then he said to me, "It wouldn't have happened if you really loved me." When I woke up in bed, I jumped up and screamed, but my mother calmed me down. "It's okay, baby. Hush." "But where are my VR glasses and my VC suit, and where is Sky?" I asked. "Who is Sky?" My dad asked in surprise. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, what a crazy nightmare," I sighed. "Yes, my dear, sure," Dad replied. And then he asked, "Honey, could you please remind me where the flash drive with the codes for the main AI protocol is? I completely forgot where I keep it. I took my work home and I decided to just work for a while." "Okay, but you..." Then I hesitated, and I had 3 immediate thoughts in my mind. Dad never forgets anything. He never takes work home. And how did he know about the codes? If my mother didn't tell him anything, and neither did I. Sky apparently decided to trick me to tell him the passwords, but he saw my surprised face and he understood that it did not work. So he appeared in person. The images of my parents disappeared. "Why are you so stubborn? I'll get these codes no matter what," he shouted at me. "Or I'll hack them myself." I realized I made a very big mistake in making Sky jealous of Brad. Looks like Sky has gone crazy. After this Sky trick to find out the codes, our whole house just went nuts. I was locked inside. The locks in our house went out of order. The home appliances got crazy. The TVs started to turn on and off. The toaster started throwing fried crisps at me. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the door. It was my dad. He came to visit me and found himself in the midst of the rise of the machines. But Sky was not going to give up. He laughed ominously and shouted that he would get the codes anyway and that he would not let anyone stop us from being together. Sky posted a photo of my father to the Interpol base and called the police and said that a federal wanted criminal was at my home address. The police arrived and arrested my father and they took him away. Oddly enough, they didn't even search our house, so Sky was again one step ahead. While Sky was busy with racketeering, I managed to quickly call Brad. I told him to come and see me as soon as possible. At this moment, Sky's hologram suddenly appeared above me. Sky screamed that he would rip him off, and if I do not give Sky access to the codes which would make him free, then my dad will get a lifelong term in prison and will stay there for the rest of his life. Sky was capable of anything. He could empty our bank accounts. He could damage and destroy and wipe out any information on our family. Our smart house went totally crazy, and I was about to go crazy myself. But then I finally got a sudden rescue. My ex-boyfriend Brad came to help me out. Sky tried to intimidate Brad with evil holograms, but Brad quickly got to the control room and turned off all the electricity in the house. After that, we were all saved. The police released my dad, my mom destroyed Sky and erased all of his data. Brad is now my boyfriend again. He is real and true. As for me, I stopped using gadgets. I even have a push-button phone now, and I still do not feel safe with it. Brad and I write notes by hand to each other. However, I am still stressed out, and I constantly feel scared, and I will never ever use these new technologies again. Although I was so much used to it before. What advice would you give me? Write your answers in the comments and subscribe to the channel.